Hi everyone, this is Kyle, and there's been a report that came out in the past week since Disney gave their first look at Snow White and since Disney announced that they're delaying the movie by a full year, with a bit of an explanation as to what's going on with the Snow White movie, particularly with the Seven Dwarfs. Now, back in July, we had some photos leaked from Snow White set, which showed a bunch of people that looked like hippies, and the report at the time was that these were going to be the Seven Dwarfs, and people saw that and they just had a field day with that. And then, of course, Rachel Zegler, she had some comments she said about the original Snow White movie that resurfaced in an interview from a year ago that a lot of people were not happy with. And so, in other words, the movie was buried in a ton of controversy, and a lot of people were not happy with the direction that the Snow White movie was going in. And then, I don't know, a week or a week and a half or so ago, Disney announces they're going to be delaying the movie by a year, which we were hearing rumors that they were going to be delaying the movie, although I don't know how many people imagined that it would be a full year delay. And as Disney announced that they were delaying the movie by a full year, they released this first look right here, and you see Snow White with the Seven Dwarfs. And a lot of people out there are looking at that, myself included, and wondering what on earth is going on here, because back in July we were hearing that these were going to be your Seven Dwarfs, or these were going to be like stand-ins for your Seven Dwarfs. A lot of people were not happy with that. And then months later, they announced they're delaying the movie by a year, and then we see this picture right here. And a lot of people out there interpreted that as it looks like Disney's made a pretty big change to their movie. And for me, it looked that way too. I mean, I thought it was odd that they released this picture when they're delaying the movie by a full year and that, it's not coming out for a good year and a half. And I thought it was odd that they do that as their movie is buried in a lot of controversy, and a lot of people out there are thinking it's going to be an enormous flop, and I kind of thought this looked to me like Disney was trying to walk back a couple decisions they made. Okay, so I found this article not too long ago. This is from MovieWeb.com. I guess it came out 5 days ago, and this gives a bit of an explanation as to what on earth is going on. And so the article is Snow White's live-action movie designer denies controversial Dwarves report. I'm not going to read the entire thing, but the main point of this article here: Nadia Stacy, a member of the movie's hair and makeup department, denies reports of a change in the characters, stating that the original Seven Dwarfs have always been a part of the story. And so I'll start right here, but one of the biggest conflicts around the movie has to do with the revelation that the film would change the Seven Dwarfs for seven magical creatures. However, when the change in the film's release date was announced, and the first official image surfaced online, it featured the titular princess along with the Seven Dwarfs, which look very similar to the ones in the animated film. I don't know if I'd say they look that similar. Maybe it's just their CGI, but from what I've been hearing, a lot of people have been looking at these dwarves in this image and they've kind of been having nightmares. So here's the explanation right here. So according to Nadia Stacy and her team, who's doing hairstyle and makeup for the Disney's live-action Snow White, the Seven Dwarfs are in the film from the get-go, and those seven bandits belong to Andrew Burnap's character Jonathan, who's the leader. Two different groups. Now folks, I did wonder about this in previous videos, but I had doubts about it. I mean, number one, I looked at it, and there were seven of these bandits, and there were seven dwarfs in Snow White, so that to me, it looked like they were replacing the dwarfs or changing them. You also had this quote from Disney: "To avoid reinforcing stereotypes from the original animated film, we are taking a different approach with these seven characters and have been consulting with members of the dwarfism community. We look forward to sharing more as the film heads into production after a lengthy development period," a Disney spokesperson said in a statement to The Hollywood Reporter. And this statement, it is from January 25th, 2022. This is from Hollywood Reporter. But I looked back at that statement and I thought, that kind of implies that they were making changes to the Seven Dwarfs here. Now, in addition to this, there's a guy on YouTube, Ryan Kinnell, and he covers a lot of entertainment. I know he's friends with Geeks and Gamers, Nerdrotic, people like that, Shadiversity. I mean, I think he puts out probably a good few videos a day, every day. I've seen a few of his videos. I have not seen all of them, and this is one thing that I hadn't seen. But there's a video right here that he put out real recently, and he's saying that he's had some inside sources from Disney, and they were telling him, I guess for a little while now, a good few months, that it was always the plan to have seven dwarfs and seven bandits, which matches what's being said right here. And I'll make this comment too. I mean, as I said, Ryan Kinnell, he's friends with Geeks and Gamers and Nerd Rock, those people. So Gary from Nerdrotic, when Amazon's Rings of Power show was coming out, or well, as it was being marketed and we were approaching the release, he stated, I'm going to say a good 4 or 5 months before then, that the character Halbrand in the Rings of Power show was going to be Sauron, and that turned out to be correct. I gotta stop talking about Lord of the Rings. I don't want to go on a tangent. The point is that no, I mean these people they do have connections. You know, the Ryan Kinnells of Geeks and Gamers and Nerd Rock, they do have connections with people working in Hollywood. So, given all this information, originally I looked at this and I said, it looks like Disney's making changes. I'm believing this, that okay, there's going to be 2 different groups. I wondered about that at first. I had doubts about it. I mean, here it says that these 7 bandits belong to Andrew Burnap's character. I know there was a quote from Rachel Zegler saying something like, Andrew's scenes could get cut, who knows, it's Hollywood, baby, something like that. I mean, that may have just been Rachel Zegler talking. It may have just been nothing more than that. And I did a video just before this on this one article from the Daily Mail saying that Disney delayed Snow White over fears it would be a financial disaster and flop. There's one quote in this article: producers are said to have U-turned on their decision to include a diverse range of actors to play the dwarves after receiving backlash from Dinklage, who has achondroplasia, a form of dwarfism. And again, there's this quote from Hollywood Reporter from insiders from Disney, and coming from January of 2022, which you look at that to me implied that these right here were the original 7 dwarves. But if it turns out that there's going to be 7 dwarves and 7 bands, which now I believe that's the case, then I'm guessing Disney's response to Peter Dinklage's comments, I'm guessing they did take what Peter Dinklage said real seriously, but instead of turning the dwarves into these people right here, whatever these people are, instead Disney's making this group right here a little different from how they were in the Snow White fairy tale. I'm guessing. To me, that explanation seems to match with this report right here, with what Ryan Kinnell is saying here. So, what would this report mean? Well, I mean, we look at this this first look Disney released a week ago, and it looked very much like they were originally going to have these people as their 7 dwarves, and then they made a change. It looked like they may have been actually listening to fans, listening to critics. Never mind. I mean, if this is the case, 7 dwarves and 7 bands, then never mind. I was wrong. No, Disney's not listening to fans at all. It's going to be full speed ahead. And that Disney, as Ryan Kinnell in his report says, no, they're not changing anything about Snow White. I think all the stuff that Rachel Zegler said about Snow White's, she's going to be a strong, fierce leader, or whatever stuff she said that a lot of people didn't like, that's going forward. She's not going to be dreaming about true love. That's going to be the case. Zegler and Gal Gadot, they were really emphasizing Snow White is not going to be saved by a prince in this movie. Yeah, I think that's going to be going forward. I mean, I thought if Disney was going to salvage this movie over the next year that they're delaying the film, they were probably going to have to do a complete 180. They would probably have to make some changes to the story. Maybe they'd even have to apologize for a lot of the comments they made about Snow White, that sort of thing, or at least Rachel Zegler's case. But looks like no, none of that stuff's going to be happening. And if that's the case, yeah, I think this movie's going to flop. I mean, Disney live-action remakes, they do draw some people. I mean, I do think they'll probably have a few people saying, hey, look, it's Snow White, I'm going to go see it. I know what Snow White is. I think there will be some people that go just for that. Because I know previous Disney live-action movies, they've generally been real successful. Well, the most recent live-action movie that Disney made, Little Mermaid, made $570 million at the box office, which compared to other Disney live-action remakes, that's not very good. I mean, it's kind of funny. The article here on MovieWeb, the way that they phrase this, Little Mermaid, the most recent title on the list of live-action remakes, was among most attacked productions, announcing Halle Bailey as its main star. However, once released, the film grossed almost $570 million at the box office, becoming the 9th highest grossing film of 2023 and the 7th highest grossing remake at Disney. They phrase it like it's done real well, but 9th highest movie to come out in a year, I mean, that's not as good as it looks. And 7th highest remake by Disney. Yeah, how many remakes has Disney made? And then here, $300 million budget, which is what we've heard. Yeah, if that's the case, it lost money. And this last paragraph is kind of funny. Snow White could present a similar scenario. While the presences of Rachel Zegler, who has become a popular name in Hollywood, people in Hollywood, maybe she's popular, but outside of Hollywood, I wouldn't agree with that. And Gal Gadot, who is already an established star, can help bring more moviegoers to theaters. Correct me if I'm wrong, folks, but if I'm correct, every movie that Rachel Zegler's been in has kind of flopped. I know she was in West Side Story, and I know that movie didn't do very well. She's going to be in a Hunger Games prequel coming out. Forecasts for that movie are not looking very good. Alright, and then this paragraph concludes, the film's constant delays and high budget will present a great challenge for its box office performance. I don't know, if anything, I think the delay might actually help it. I'm not saying it will help it, but maybe a year gives a few people time to forget some of the things that she said, or at least I wouldn't be surprised if Disney was hoping that. Alright, but look, at first when Disney released this first look at Snow White, it looked very much like they were making changes. It looked kind of like they were listening to fans. But I guess there's reports that no, it's going to be two different groups. There's going to be these 7 dwarfs, and then there's going to be these 7 bandits right here. Now, even if this is the case, I mean, this is still a change from the original Snow White story. I mean, why are they putting these 7 bandits in the story? I don't understand why they're doing that, but I guess they are, for whatever reason. But if this is the case here, I think the one thing to take is, nope, Disney has not changed at all. They're not going to be listening to fans. They're going to be going full speed ahead with their current day remake of Snow White. Now, I've stated I thought Disney was panicking behind closed doors. I still do. People are not happy with the direction of Snow White, and I think Disney knows it. They have to know it. I mean, I thought the reason for a 1-year delay, yeah, there is the actor strikes, but I also thought they have to be kind of freaking out behind closed doors, and you saw that first look for Snow White, it looked like they were making some changes, but if they're not, then in that case, I don't know what Disney's going to be doing. I mean, maybe the actor strikes, maybe that is the real reason why they're delaying, or maybe that's the sole reason why they're delaying. And it's not because they're trying to make any changes to try and weather all the anger that's going on amongst audiences. But even if Disney is going full speed ahead, I do still think they're in panic mode because, boy, a lot of Snow White fans are real unhappy with what they're doing. A lot of Snow White fans are real unhappy with the star playing as Snow White. Me, I don't think a full year delay is going to change that. And if this budget is going to be $330 million for the movie, they're going to have to make a lot of money in order to break even, in order to turn a profit, and I don't think they're going to. I think Disney's going to lose a lot of money from this movie, and I think they know it, and I do still think they're panicking. But you let me know what you think about this. Me, I believe this report is true, and I interpret it as, no, Disney's not making any changes, they're not listening to fans, and it's just going to be full speed ahead with modern day Snow White. Everyone, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, if you consider hitting the like button, hitting the subscribe button, I greatly appreciate it. Thank you all very much for watching this video, and I'll see you next time. Take care until then.